Today I'm in Tennessee at Mayfield Pastures. This is the home farm of farmer Charles Mayfield, and this behind me is one of the enterprises he's doing. Eggs on grass, but that's not the only enterprise he's doing. So let's focus in this video just on eggs. How's it work? How's it pay off economically for him? And how does it fit into the bigger picture of the context of everything else he's doing on farm? That's what this one's all about, eggs. Stay tuned for that coming up. So Charles, you have a layer operation out here. You have 40 birds, but you're also doing turkeys, you're also doing pastured poultry, you're also doing pigs. What's the point of the layer operation? How does that fit into the greater scheme of things from a business sense for you?
Well, the business, I guess on the business side, the biggest thing is sort of seeding new customers. We have eggs all the time. Eggs are easy. It's a low entry point for a lot of folks to try our products, but the biggest reason we got them is sanitation, running them behind the pigs. We'll see the cows later today, and so just kind of keeping the fields clean, and they're very kid friendly. We've got 2 young kids. I don't really worry about them getting bowled over by a laying hen. So yeah, it's a small operation. This is sort of just where we started.
Yeah. Well, given where you're at with your experience here, do you see this potentially scaling up? Do you think it's worthwhile looking at it just on a micro scale? Does the macro make sense?
I think the macro makes sense with help. With the other enterprises going on, I've got a 16-year-old kid right now. I'm sort of mentoring, interning a little bit, and he's mentioned being interested. But I think it definitely makes sense to scale up from where we are here. I could probably put 300 birds in this same tractor, so your time and motion studies, the labor, the time to move it, all of that basically stays the same. You know, there's not a lot of difference between 10 chickens and 100 chickens. So economies of scale, definitely, but you got to be able to move those eggs. So totally.
And what do you move them for down here? We're in Tennessee, Athens, Tennessee. What can you get for a dozen eggs?
You can get anywhere from, I'd say, $5 to $7. I mean, if you go to the store here, there's some really nice eggs grown out of Chattanooga that are, I think, retail for about $7. And so I'm asking $6 for mine and not really getting too many bats of the eye. Most of our customers aren't in Athens, though. Yeah. Most of them. Chattanooga, Knoxville, Atlanta, Cleveland, a little bit. I mean, we've got 21 buying club members, so that's not a lot of people. But the eggs are great. I use my insurance business. I'll take a dozen eggs when I go meet with them. Right? Oh man, it leaves an impression. Nobody ever forgets the egg guy.
And in terms of eggs, what do you think you got into them? No labor, a couple bucks?
I'd say $220, yeah, $250, somewhere in there with no labor. I'd say all in, and that's sort of the problem with this is it's only 40. So the labor and everything, again, it wouldn't really change much. But yeah, I'd say if I were going to be super aggressive, $3 a dozen. Come here, Red. This is my favorite. He lets me pick him up.
Hi, sir. How are you?
This is Red. Scott always likes me to pick up Red so he can pet him. So Darby, you don't like Rhode Island Reds?
They're usually pretty mean.
This guy, he's. I think what helps is he's number 2 in the pecking order. The black Australorp is top dog around here.
Looking at your Eggmobile here, it's one of the nicer Eggmobiles that I've seen on a lot of farms and in videos and on Instagram. I love the design. It's totally self-contained. Like you have your Energizer mounted on here, you have your water source mounted on here, so you can just tow it down the field. You're just picking up the feeder and the ladder, move the fence, and you're a go. What do you like about this design? What don't you like? And what considerations would you suggest to people if they're looking to build something?
Well, let's start with the dislikes, because we did build it. So, it's like building a house. The minute you're done, you look around, you're like, well, I'd change that. It feels a little too high for me. We've got small kids and we do have to step up into the Eggmobile to gather eggs. So it's a little high, but I mean, predation-wise, that's a great thing. I love the angled roof. I mean, you guys know that a lot of the stuff I've modeled is after Joel Salatin, and he always talks about a flat roof because it's easier. And so when we were building this one, I'm a tall guy too, so I wanted to make sure I had enough headroom. But the angled roof, and I haven't mounted it yet, but the idea is to mount a small gutter system on the back of this thing just to capture all the rainwater. I have to refill that bucket every now and then, but with the rain we've had, I'd never have to touch it. And so it takes a chore away.
Simplify things down.
Yep. But yeah, no, I like the design. I'd probably upgrade my door. This is just our best. We actually put all the siding on and then remembered we needed a door, as you can probably tell. But they make the automatic doors. I mean, that's a nightly chore that, especially this time of year, doesn't happen until about 9:15 at night, that they don't all make their way back in there. And so maybe an automated door or something with a timer on it would be great. But outside of that, I like it. I guess if I were upgrading and scaling up, the only thing I would do different is maybe extend the house and get a pull-behind single axle feed buggy, right. So that the feed and the tractor are inseparable, so that I can, you know, if I need to fill that feed box and I'm happy where this is, I've either got to bring feed to the box or I don't have feed. So, but yeah, I love it.
And you're using a Brower reel feeder here. A lot of people use the hanging bell type feeders. How have you liked this one so far?
I've loved the Brower. It holds a lot of feed, and there's almost no waste. So it's been here for 2 days. Their feeder was empty this morning when we got down here, and I'm looking around, and outside of a little bit that I might have spilled filling it back up, there's no feed on the ground. They're super lightweight and reasonably indestructible. The price tag's a little high. My dad and I built, and I would recommend if you don't want to buy this, but we just used the 6-inch green PVC pipe. And built we just scabbed the top third of it off. Don't cut it in half. You want a rimmed edge, and it actually holds more feed than the Brower. We took it to about 5 feet long and capped both ends. The problem with it is when it's full, it's heavy. I mean, and picking it up in and out of like the chicken tractors sort of becomes a chore. I mean, it's fine for me. Julie can manage, but as I mentioned earlier, we got this 16-year-old kid that's interning with us.
Tough.
It's all he can do to get that thing
workout
out
on it.
Yeah, it's a big workout. So they were nice.
Yeah, it's really well looking. So now let's take a look at the back here. Show the Energizer setup, the water setup. And so this is your water system. You just have 55-gallon drum, gravity feeds down into a rubber pail down here with a float valve on it, and then you got the Salatin trick to keep them out of it, which is brilliant. I love the idea of that. I haven't seen that before. And then the idea eventually will be you just divert your rainwater into there so you don't have to fill it. But right now you just hose fill it up?
Just hose fill it, yep. It gets a little spackling if it rains hard enough, but yeah, most of the chickens pretty much stayed down in this general area, and we've got water spigots everywhere, so if I'm moving them, I'll swing over and fill it up.
So here's the back of the chicken, or the back of the Eggmobile. You have your Energizer mounted onto it, and you just store your feed in the back there?
Just store the feed and the calcium in here and fill it up as we need to. And yeah, this has worked great. You really have to pay attention to how you position. I've actually moved this location now once from the side to the back, and I'm just trying to figure out what's going to work best. Ideally, I guess you would park the Eggmobile so that you get most of the sun throughout the day, and I'm just having a hard time doing that right now. So ideally, this side is always going to face west because the prevailing wind, it just sort of helps with the wind. But yeah, it works great. It's just it needs a little bit of a charge right now, and it's running a lot of fence for this thing. It doesn't have a big grounding rod either.
So you just have the Premier netting running around the perimeter here, and no issues with predators, you're saying?
I've had no issues with predators, and the biggest reason I put the netting up right now is so that sometimes I don't have to come down and close the birds up at night. I feel okay with them in the netting at night. We've got an English setter dog that's my parents and a Labradoodle that's ours, and they like animals for dinner. But early on, we had all these layers in fencing like this, and they both got a really good pop to the nose, and we're around the birds all the time, and it's crazy. The English setter, she'll just come down here with me now, and if the netting's not up, she'll just climb underneath there and lay down and watch the birds, and they coexist very well now. So it's kind of amazing. But
right on.
But yeah, we've been really lucky with predation, or lack thereof, knock on wood. So we'll take it.
It's brilliant. I love the idea of it. Looks clean, looks nice, and hopefully it becomes a bigger part of your enterprise if it all works out at the end of the day.
I'd like that. We love eggs, and I think like I said, it's the lowest point of entry for a lot of people to buy your product. So it makes it makes for a good marketing tool.
So here you have an inside view of the Eggmobile itself, slotted floor with wire chicken mesh underneath it to keep predators from coming up, but enough mesh to allow airflow, let some of the manure fall through. You have the metal nesting boxes in the background. You do have to access these from the inside of the tractor. You can't access it from the outside. This is the main door here for human, and I guess it's sometimes some ventilation access. On the other side, you have the ladder where the chickens can come in and out. But it's about 8 o'clock in the morning right now, and a lot of these girls want to get into the boxes and lay their egg for the day. It looks good. There it is, Charles Mayfield's on pasture Eggmobile. It's brilliant. I love the look of this thing. Like I said, it's honestly one of the best looking Eggmobiles I've ever seen. I love the smart design to it. The chickens can hide underneath it for predator protection. You have everything self-contained in one unit, so it makes it easy to move at night. Access is one thing. He said he wishes he had done a little differently, like you can't access the egg from the outside of the tractor, you have to go in it. So one thing you gotta deal with. But other than that, looks great and it's working. We'll see if it becomes a bigger part of his business over time. If you want to learn more about Charles, visit him at the link below. And if you want to learn more about everything on grass, I actually do a podcast focused on raising animals on grass, pigs, chickens, and poultry. For more information on that, you can visit the link below or go to permaculturevoices.com/grassfed. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll have more videos from Charles on his farm coming up. But until next time, be nice, be thankful, and do the work.